The Polar Vantage V2 is the most expensive offering by Polar, but does more expensive means the best? We'll find out in this video. Hi guys and girls, I'm Yair and welcome to my channel. This channel is all about my personal fitness journey and the tech that I use in it. If you find this video useful and entertaining, please don't be shy and smash that like button, and also consider subscribing to get notified when videos like this will be released. So, the Polar Vantage V2 is a premium multi-sport watch by Polar. It is the successor of the Vantage V and it packs inside quite a punch. It costs $500 It has a 47 millimeters in diameter and it has 1.2-inch screen. It weighs about 50 grams and has a premium look and feel, and its body is mainly aluminum, which helped to reduce the weight as opposed to the previous generation. It has a water rating of 10 ATM, which means you can safely swim with it at the pool and at the ocean, and also take showers. It has 5 physical buttons. The red one is the main button. It also has a touch screen. The touch screen will turn off automatically when you are in an activity. I found the touch not to be so responsive and laggy. That's why my main complaint is about it. I do appreciate its presence and found it useful when navigating during the normal day-to-day usage. The watch has barometric altimeter, an accelerometer and a gyroscope. Therefore, it can give you a real-time feedback during a climb and also on your current altitude. The Polar Vantage V2 has only Bluetooth support and it does not support N+. The battery life is okay and it should last up to a week of a normal usage. You can track up to 30 hours of GPS activity and you can get up to 50 hours with some power saving adjustments. It has the second generation of the Polar's Precision Prime heart rate sensor, which you can see it has 2 lights, a red and a green, which should help with different skin tones and types. It supports GPS, GLONASS and Galileo, and I found the satellite lock quite fast. It has support for smart notifications, so you can view notifications from your phone. Unfortunately, it does not support my native language, Hebrew. You can also see the caller's name and answer or decline a call. The watch doesn't have a built-in speaker, so you won't be able to answer a call, and only you can answer it and it will be answered on your phone. It has music control, so you can skip track or play with the volume directly from the watch. It does not support offline music or any kind of streaming service integration. Most of its configurations are done via the Polar Flow app. The watch face isn't customizable. You can just select between digital and analog view, and you can select the widget which will show above or below the watch time. You have the weather widget. If you click the red button, you will see a quick forecast and weather data regarding your area. It has a Fit Spark widget, which is one of the most of Polar main attraction point, since it will try to suggest the most suitable workout to your current condition. I really like this feature and use it a lot. Stay tuned for a future video about me doing all the suggested workout by the watch. It has a sleep widget, which will try to determine whether you have recharged during the night or slept poorly. When it comes to sleep tracking, I think Polar is the most insightful company in the market currently. Even though I don't like sleeping with the watch, since I find it's bulky and uncomfortable during the night. I find wearing it just for the night beneficial, since Polar is providing a very nice feedback. You'll get a sleep breakdown, sleep phases and many more in the Polar Flow app. You can find this feature, by the way, in other Polar watches as well. You can see your previous workout directly from your watch. More about workouts in a bit. There are other widgets such as the weekly summary and the daily activity, steps and more. Besides sport modes, the Vantage V2 offers serene breathing exercises. Also, it offers Strava-like segment, which is a neat feature. If you are a premium Strava subscriber, you are approaching a segment, your watch will automatically notify you. Then you can compete and put to shame your friends and neighbors that are also running this one. You also have the FuelWise smart reminders. You basically set a carb intake reminder for an activity and it will remind while you're performing it. For instance, if you set the reminder for every 1.5 hours but you're pushing yourself harder, it will calculate it automatically and remind you to take your carbs sooner. It's a neat addition to the watch. You also get the test. You have the polar orthostatic test, which measures your heart rate variability, the HRV, as a way of calculating the current balance between your training and recovery. You need a chest strap to perform this test. You have the leg recovery test, which is the most useful in my opinion. It's a quick test that tells you to jump 3 times and determine, based on your average height of the jumps that you just performed, that if you are ready for a hard session or you need to rest or do some supportive workouts. It also offers cycling test and a running test, which basically will tell you to run at a certain speed and gradually increase it until you fail or quit. Then it will try to estimate your VO2 max. I did and failed the test a few times since I didn't understand how the speed cursor works, and then I got in the end a very lousy result. You also get the fitness test, which tries to estimate your VO2 max based on your rest heart rate while you're relaxed. If you came for the sport profiles, then you just came to the right place. The watch itself can store up to 20 sport profiles, but you can mix and match them from a variety of activities in the Polar Flow app. So the Vantage V2 offers a multi-sport profiles such as triathlon. The main benefit, in my opinion, is for the runners. You get the fuel wise that we just reminded, the hill splitter, which will automatically detect your ascension and provide real-time feedback on your running and the total numbers of reps you performed at this hill. You also get running power from your wrist, and at the end you will be able to watch a detailed graph of your running performance in the Polar Flow app. The watch doesn't offer map integration, but you can import a GPX file which will be displayed as a breadcrumb map on your watch. Also, if you have a Komoot account, you can download the course from Komoot and you'll get a turn-by-turn navigation just like a car GPS. You can also start running program in Polar Flow and it will automatically download the workouts to your watch. You can choose distances, goals, and some other parameters, and it will set a complete program for a few weeks. As opposed to other platforms, I found the Polar program much more complete, since you get strength workout, mobility, at days that you aren't running, and all of those workouts are filmed and you can access it via Polar Flow or YouTube, and I salute Polar for this type of program. You can though import workouts from other platforms such as Training Peaks, so you have to enter predefined workout manually at the Polar Flow app or the website. The data can be updated from Polar to Training Peak, but the other way around is not working. It's a shame since other brands such as Chorus and Garmin has this kind of integration. Let's look at some running data. Here I'm running on the treadmill. You can see that I'm running with the Chorus Pace 2, the Polar Verity Sense as a baseline, and the Polar Vantage V2. The total distance in the Chorus Pace 2 is much more reliable. It was 4 kilometers and that's the actual number, while the Polar Vantage V2 counted 4.61. If you look at the heart rate data, you can see that the Chorus Pace 2, besides in the beginning that it took a while for the Chorus Pace 2 to catch up, you can see that in most of the run the Vantage V2 is lagging far behind. This one is the more dark color that you see here, the V2 heart rate. You can see here that in most of the run it wasn't even close. You can see that in most of the run the Chorus Pace 2 and the Polar Verity Sense produce very similar results, besides some spikes here and there that the Chorus Pace 2 have performed. The Polar Vantage V2 performed poorly, but I think it's because it probably wasn't tight enough on my wrist. Yeah, I do have some difficulties in feeling comfortable with this watch while it's very hot outside. Let's look at some more data. We have the Polar Verity Sense, the Chorus Pace 2 and the Polar Vantage V2. Both watches measured the exact same distance, but let's look at the satellite data. I was running around my village, and you can see that the Polar Vantage V2 is more like in the middle of the road, which was the direction that I was running, and the Chorus Pace 2 is wandering around the houses and it's crossing the roundabout. Yeah, most of the time both of them are quite correct, but you can see that the Chorus Pace 2 is wandering around more, while the Vantage V2 remains mainly at the main road. And if we look at the heart rate data, in most cases it was very similar to the Polar Verity Sense. and there are some deviations, like here that the VaritySense measured higher heart rate and the V2 and the Pace 2 didn't catch up. And also here you can see that the V2 measured much lower heart rate, and there are some spikes here and there. So in this case I think the Chorus Pace 2 did a better job, but the V2 was okay. Let's look at some more data. This is some strength training data. We have here in purple the Chorus Pace 2. We have the Vantage V2 in light blue and the Polar VaritySense in red. We have like high spikes in the beginning related to the Chorus Pace 2, which is a bit unreliable. It looks like it was all over the place, especially the Pace 2, but there are some misses here. Here you can see that both watches missed the spike. So what I think really happened is that I did a set. Here I was resting before and I was performing the set. While I was performing the set, both watches needed to catch up, and then when I rested, they started climbing up. You can see that the Chorus Pace 2 really missed the signal here. Again, the Vantage V2 was lagging behind here, and again here, and here it was closer to the VaritySense. What do I think about the strength training? I think that if you want some reliable result, you should use an external sensor like the Polar VaritySense, and I would give like a mediocre score for the Vantage V2 and below mediocre to the Chorus Pace 2 in this case. I don't think that this watch is for strength training. Since you can't really build a reps-based strength workout in Polar Flow, you can just choose between duration or distance. Also, it doesn't offer any reps counter or exercise detection that you can find in other platforms. If I'll compare it to the Chorus Pace 2, you have much more possibilities and feedbacks for strength training, such as a muscle heat map, next workout preview, and more. If you're mainly a power lifter, this watch isn't for you. If you're interested in a great watch for strength training, check out my Chorus Pace 2 strength focused review. Also, I've tested it at the pool and it didn't perform well. Usually it missed laps or added laps to my total, and my total states were mixed up and didn't reflect my actual swim. Let's look at some swimming data. This is a pool swimming. The thing with the Polar Vantage V2 that it missed, I swam 750 meters. Here it was registered only 700, and the Chorus Pace 2 registered 25 meters more. So I find it all of the times in both watches. It's really annoying that they miss a lot of pulls. If you watched my video about the Honor Band and the Xiaomi Band, the Mi Band 6, you can see that in most cases they were much more accurate than those two expensive watches. Again, swimming data, here the Chorus Pace 2 was more spot on, and the Polar Vantage V2 added 25 meters more. By the way, I've used the swimming feature in the Polar VaritySense and it only measured 100 meters, and for me this feature is totally rubbish. I never get an accurate result and I don't find it useful at all. The Polar Vantage V2 and the VaritySense are closer, even though there are some deviations, but the trends are more similar. The Chorus Pace 2 in green here didn't measure correctly in the pool. The heart rate was lower 90% of the time, and then in the end it started catching up, and then it produced really high result while I was in a much lower heart rate. So again, the V2 is okay at the pool and the Chorus Pace 2 is not so great, but I would recommend to use an external sensor like the Polar VaritySense. So to summarize, the Polar Vantage V2 is a premium multi-sport watch that can provide you useful feedbacks and insights on your current physical conditions, and it actually tells you what to do to improve it. I like this feature a lot. However, it's a bit laggy with outdated software and high price tag. And it doesn't offer smartwatch features or offline music, real maps integration, and more. It also supports only Bluetooth and not N+, which is a shame. If you're just into sport tracker that can provide you useful data and feedback, you have much cheaper options such as the Chorus Pace 2, which can provide you most of the V2 functionality at less than half the price. You can actually buy a Chorus Pace 2 for yourself and your wife and still have $100 to spend on accessories at the price of one Vantage V2. Also, as you saw, the heart rate data was mediocre and less reliable. It is not so useful in strength training. The pulse swimming tracking needs a lot of improvement. However, if you want a personal trainer that tells you what to do, what to eat, when to train, the best sleep, feedback and fitness test, and you're willing to pay the extra price, this might be the watch for you. It does packs a lot inside. So that's it for today. If you like this video, please don't be shy and hit the like button. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please consider doing it by hitting the like button. Also, share your thought. Tell me what you think. Maybe you have the Vantage V2 or you're in the market for the Chorus Pace 2 and how they are comparable in your opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, have a beautiful day and bye until next time.